Welcome to Mocha Girls Pit Stop TV. I am your host, Terry Lomax. Today on our show, we have a very special guest. We have the fiscally responsible, the award-winning teacher of financial empowerment, Tiffany the Budgetnista, Aliche. Tiffany, welcome to Mocha Girls Pit Stop TV.
Hey, Terry. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so excited, so excited. I do want to brag about you for 1 second, Tiffany. So
Okay.
Tiffany is the best-selling author of The 1 Week Budget. She's the founder of the Live Richer Challenge. She's been featured on MSNBC, Essence, the Huffington Post. She is the real deal, ladies. Again, welcome, Tiffany. Can we just start off by asking or having you answer the question, why are you a mocha girl on a mission?
Well, I'm a mocha girl on a mission because I decided in my early 20s that I wanted to live a life of service. And since then, I've been a teacher, and I'm still a teacher. I'm just now a teacher of personal finance.
Very nice, very nice. And Tiffany, I did my research and I found this amazing story on your blog about, you shared a story about your dad and you wanting to purchase your first bike. So can you just tell us a little bit about that story and that profound message that your dad taught you?
Definitely. So when I was 11 years old, I wanted a bike for my birthday. And because my sister, who was 2 years older than me, when she was 11, she got a bike for her birthday. So I thought, well, I want the same thing. And I was tired of borrowing her bike. So my father, who was doing the bills at the dining room table at the time, I said, now's a good time to go and ask him, which probably was not the best time when your parents are doing the bills to ask them for a bike. But I decided to go ahead and ask for this bike that I really wanted. And my father at the time, since he was doing the bills, said, fine, yes, you can get a bike, but you have to help me pay some bills. And I wasn't sure what he meant by that. I thought, do I actually have to go get a job and pay some bills? Like, what does this mean? And what he really meant was that he wanted me to sit down next to him and add up the bills that he was adding up and then subtract them from what he and my mom made every month. And so I thought, okay, sure. And I didn't realize what he was trying to show me was that he and my mom had all of these financial responsibilities that had to be taken care of before I could get a bike. And so I was adding up the bills, and I thought, wow, daddy and mommy make a whole lot of money. But as I started to subtract the bills from what they made every month, I realized, wow, there's not as much money here as I originally thought. So as a result, I realized that I didn't want to get the expensive bike that I originally thought that I wanted. I said, instead, I'm going to get a bike that is less expensive. And also, too, I didn't want to get a bike that I could grow out of because I thought, I don't want this to be an annual expense. I really would like to get something different next year. And so I got a bike that was much bigger than my original bike that I wanted. It was like this purple Barbie bike that I wanted originally. So I ended up getting this big, blue, ugly bike. And I figured, well, I'll just grow into it. I grew into that bike for the next 30, 24 years because that's the only bike that I've ever had. I rode that bike in middle school. I rode that bike in high school when I was a tennis team captain. I rode that bike when I gained 20 pounds after my freshman 20 in college and lose weight. I rode that bike to my first job after college. I mean, my father's still riding that bike. That bike is still in the garage and being used. Wow. So from age 11 to 35, 24 years later, that bike is still useful. And it's just such a great financial lesson that there's no such thing as a small financial choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know what, Tiffany, would you say that that experience that you had with your dad at 11 years old and him having you come to the table to help him pay the bills, do you think that that sort of influenced the field that you're in now and what you're doing for a living today?
Definitely. I mean, it wasn't just that. My father was a CFO and an accountant. So he taught my four sisters. I have four sisters. And he taught my four sisters and I about money. We would have money lessons. I thought, well, what do you guys do Thursday nights? I mean, when I asked my friends, I didn't realize that it was like a unique and special thing that we were getting taught money at home. And so not just the bike incident, there was always financial lessons being taught in the house.
Mm. That is so awesome. I wish I could have had those lessons. Tiffany, oh my goodness. Wow. And so that kind of takes me to my next question. Why do you think there are so many people who struggle financially and who don't have that strong foundation?
Honestly, I think they didn't have the same foundation of financial education because their parents didn't have that. So how can you teach what you personally do not know? And so I think that starting to teach young people as young as 3 and 4 years old about money is essential if you want to raise adults that are financially responsible and adults that can then pass that knowledge on to their children.
Very nice, very nice. Wow. So Tiffany, if you feel comfortable, I just want to ask you, what is one of the worst financial decisions that you've made along your journey? Because I know I've made a ton, and I speak to women in my community who are not really well off financially because they didn't have that foundation. So what would you say is one of the situations you were like, oh my gosh, what did I do here?
So definitely my worst financial mistake was I invested with a friend, I'll say in air quotes, of mine. I was 26 years old and I had some money saved, and I said, I want to start learning how to invest. I bought a house and I got my master's, and I said, it's time for me to learn how to invest, but I don't know how. So I asked a friend of mine who was independently wealthy, can you show me how to invest? And he said, sure. He said, first rule of investing is that wealthy people do not invest with their own money. And I was like, well, how do you do that? So he told me that I should take money off of a credit card. I didn't even know you could do that. It's called a cash advance, and it's bad. Because with a cash advance, the interest rate on a cash advance is ridiculous. It might be 20, 30%, right? And so he said, or not necessarily that high, depending on your credit. So he said, take the money off of a credit card, and then we're going to use that money to invest. So I took the money off a credit card, and he promptly stole it. Yeah, so here I was, and I took $20,000 or $25,000 off 3 credit cards to invest. And I gave him it. I was like, oh, this is how we're going to invest. What's the next step? He stopped answering his phone. And so I was left with all of this debt, and I wasn't sure what to do. And what I did next was really the worst mistake. Was instead of owning up and saying, you know what, Tiffany, you made a mistake. It happened. I didn't do that. So instead what I did was I refused to acknowledge that I had made the mistake. And so I was only paying the minimum on the debt. I was like, no, for a year, I used to try to call him every single day for darn near a year, trying to find him, trying to text him, trying to Facebook him, just everything, trying to get my money. And had I just said, let me find a solution, I could have paid it off in a year, honestly. But I didn't. And so finally, when I was ready to pay it off, that's when I lost my job.
Yeah.
So if I had taken that year to pay off the debt, I could have been debt free. And even when I lost my job, I would have been still okay. But instead, now I lost my job because it was the height of the recession, and the school where I was working, they lost their funding. So everyone lost their job. It was a really difficult time. I didn't know who knew the recession was coming. I didn't know. And so it just taught me a lesson of, 1, do not invest in what you do not understand. And 2, do not, if you find yourself in a bad situation, to work toward the solution as quickly as possible, because you don't know if the situation can get worse later.
Okay, I need to make a note of that right quick. That is a tweetable. Do not invest in what you do not, did you say understand? Understand.
And 2, to take action right away, because you don't know what can happen with your situation. So take action right away.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that too, Tiffany, because I know sometimes in our community, we don't really talk about those financial decisions that we may have made that put us on the wrong track. And I know my family in general, we don't talk about finances. We talk about shopping. We talk about getting that tax refund and buying a car, doing other things with it. We don't talk about saving and, the financial, the bad financial decisions that we've made. So my question is, what resources are out there for people who do want to learn how to invest and who were in your predicament and who don't want to end up, having that friend try to take advantage of them? What resources are out there for people who want to learn more about financial independence and financial literacy?
So honestly, I started I started the Live Richer Challenge, which was an online financial challenge where I was helping 10,000 women. That was my goal, to help 10,000 women begin to master their finances in 36 days. And I made it for free. And we got to 15,000 women in 50 states and 52 countries. And it's been like an amazing journey, and it's absolutely for free. Women can still sign up at livericherchallenge.com. So that's one resource. Another great resource is one of my favorite books called The Richest Man in Babylon. You can find it for free online. Just Google it and just Google PDF. And it's just a great book, especially for young people, to start thinking about money differently. So that's another great resource to begin if you're a beginner. And even if you're not a beginner, it's a great resource as a refresher. And as far as investing, I searched high and low for a great place to really learn basic investing. Like, I don't know anything, let's just say. So I couldn't find it, so I created it. The Live Richer Challenge did so well that I ended up creating my Live Richer Academy. And so at the Live Richer Academy, you can sign up for courses. You can sign up for investing. I'm going to have a debt course, a debt collector's course. I'm going to have a credit course. I'm going to have all these courses. And for $25 a month, you could take these courses with live instructors, and some of them will be pre-taped classes, but you can learn these things in an easy to understand, fun way. And so those are some of my best resources for wanting to get on track. One, the Live Richer Challenge at livericherchallenge.com. That's free. And once you get your basic personal finance under control, then it's time for the next level. And that's when you join the Live Richer Academy. And it's a low monthly fee for you to take these live courses and take pre-taped courses to take your finances to the next level.
That is incredible, and we definitely need that. And I will say I took a look at the Live Richer Challenge, and I did the expedited version because I didn't have a lot of time, so I went through, and it was so valuable to me. I did accomplish a lot in that short amount of time, so thank you so much for creating that resource. You made a comment, absolutely. You made a comment earlier about the fact that there's no small financial choice, right? So my question to you is, what should go through our mind before we make a purchase?
So before you buy anything, you want to ask yourself, do I need it? Do I love it? Do I like it? Do I want it? Need it, love it, like it, want it. Those are the 4 questions. And so if it's a need, then yes, of course you should get it if you have the means. So needs are food, shelter, clothing, water. You know, also a need could be something like, if you live in New York City, a Metro card, because you need a Metro card so you can get to work. You go to work so you can make an income so you can buy food, shelter, clothing, water. So needs are those 4 basic things and the things you need to do in order to get those things. Now, the second thing you have to ask yourself, is this a love? So a love is something that's going to enrich your life. And you should choose 2 loves that you're going to work on from anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So a love is something like, for me, my loves are travel and my business, The Budgetnista. If you're not sure what your loves are, ask yourself, if I had Oprah's bank account, what would I do or what would I do more of? Think experience over things. So picking 2 loves, and then everything else is just a like or a want. So if you don't need it or love it, you just like it and want it, and you should just leave it. And so those are the questions you want to ask yourself. And you keep that running through your mind. Like, I actually created for my constituents and my people who take my classes, I created these debit card stickers that you can stick on the front of your debit and credit card. And it says, need it, love it, like it, want it. And because it's a constant reminder, every time you go to take out that credit card or debit card, to ask yourself those 4 questions.
I love that. Need, love, like, want. I love that. That is so awesome. Very, very cool. Very nice. So Tiffany, if people want to become financial experts, or they just want to elevate themselves and go to a new level in their career, do you have any advice for them on that journey? And were you always as confident and comfortable in the field that you're in currently?
No, definitely not. I mean, I knew basic money management stuff because I learned it at home. And in order to feel more confident and comfortable, one thing I learned was I don't talk about what I don't know. So if someone says, like, I'm not a master investor, if someone asks me investment questions, I'm very quick to say, well, that's not my area of expertise, but this is, and then I will talk about that. And so also I learned to expand my area of expertise because I'm the budgetnista. I started off just knowing how to budget and save. And then slowly, as I was digging my way out of debt, I collected that as a skill set. I learned how to show people how to get out of debt because I had done that. And then credit started to come up. People kept asking me credit questions. So I started doing more research. And then I learned about that. And so that was one of the things that got me a little bit more confident. It's just really expanding my knowledge through taking classes, taking courses, meeting with other masters who were good at those things specifically, doing my own research, and then learning when to cut off and say, well, I know about these things, money, mindset, debt, budgeting, savings, credit, but I don't know about these things, insurance, investing. So I don't talk about those things. And I'm not shy about saying, no, well, that's not my area of expertise. Or somebody asks me about taxes, I'm quick to say, I'm not an accountant, but what I do know is this, the rest you're going to want to ask your accountant. And so that helped tremendously. So I don't have to be afraid to be like, oh my God, I should know the answer. I can't possibly know everything. So I stick to what I know, and also to its practice. I've been a teacher for a long time. So a lot of it is practice in front of the classroom gave me practice to teach other people as well.
Very nice. Now, Tiffany, I think I've read this on your blog or in the Live Richer Challenge, but you talked about how you saved, I think it was 1 year, you saved $10,000. Can you kind of share that story? Because I was so amazed. I thought that was just incredible because I know it's very important to have an emergency savings account. And so if you're able to save $10,000 in a year, I need to know how you did that.
Well, it wasn't normal circumstances, I'll say that. So I was in college and I had just graduated. And I said, I know I want to buy a car, right? That's what everybody wants to do once they graduate college. Everyone wants to buy a car. And so I said, I want to buy a car. And I knew my father wasn't just going to give me money. So I decided to start saving. And my first job out of college, I was working at a child care center, making $12 an hour. And I did the math. It was the first time I made a real budget. I said, okay, $12 an hour turns out was $1,400 a month in take-home pay. I said, okay, I'm going to make $1,400 a month. Basically, I was making $700 paycheck every 2 weeks. And so I did the math. I added up all my bills. I had a cell phone bill, student loans. I gave myself like $25 a month to like hang out, a week to like hang out, $100 a month to like for fun. And I added up all of my like expenses and it was $500 a month. So I said, okay, if I'm making $1,400 and I spend $500, that's $900 left a month. So every pay period, I used to set aside $450 and put it in the savings account. Because $450 plus $450 is $900. And so, because I wanted to save for a car, so I just started putting $450. Every time I got paid, I had a special savings account. And every time I got tempted, like my friends were like, let's go here, let's buy this, or let's do this. I would think to myself, Tiffany, you're still riding a bike. Get your car. Focus on your car. So it kept me motivated because my sister used to drive me around and she hated doing that. So she barely did that. I was taking the train and the bus and I'm like, no, the car is more important than these other things. And so at the end of the year, $900 a month times 12 months is $10,800. And that's how much I had. And I was able to tell my dad, I'm ready to buy a car. And he said, do not buy a new car. New car is the biggest waste of money ever. Because as soon as you buy a new car, after driving it, you can't get that money back. So if you buy a new car and you have it for 5 days and you're like, you know what, I'm actually going to return it. And you buy it for $20,000, they're not going to give you your $20,000. They're going to give you less money than what you paid for it. Now, if you go to Target and you see a shirt and you get it and you're like, you know what, 5 days later, I don't want the shirt. Guess what Target's going to give you? Your money back. Target's going to give you that $7 or $8 or whatever you spent back. But with a car, you're not going to get your money back. It's called depreciation. And so he taught me, let someone else buy the car, experience the depreciation, and then you get it 2 years later, basically still a new car, but at a lower cost. And so he took me to the auction and I bought a 2-year-old car that would have normally been like $15,000 or whatever it was. And I bought it for $5,000. And it was the best decision ever because then I used the rest of the money to move out and furnish my first apartment.
There you go. That sounds like a win-win situation to me. That's awesome. Very cool. Now, Tiffany, it sounds like because of the financial foundation that you've had since you were younger, it sounds like budgeting it came sort of natural for you. Would you say that?
No, I would say that it wasn't necessarily natural. It just was something that wasn't new to me and I could see the benefit in it. Budgeting is not necessarily fun, but I learned to rethink the way what a budget meant because my father, he would do the bills and he didn't seem grumpy about it. So I thought, well, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. So instead I started thinking, okay, a budget tells me yes. So that's what I look to my budget for. I don't ever go to my budget saying, oh boy, what can't I buy as a result of my budget? That's backward thinking. Right. Look to your budget and ask it, what can you do? So I just booked, for example, a trip to Mexico. I'm going to go in May. I just booked it yesterday because I looked to my budget for the yes. Because of my budget, I set aside 5% of my income for travel because I love to travel. I travel like at least 3 or 4 countries a year. I love to travel. And the way I make that happen is I make my budget say yes. I tell my budget 5% of everything I make every month is going to go in a special savings account called travel. And then every once in a while, I look at that savings account. I say, how much is there? And I looked yesterday and there was $665 in that savings account. And I said, okay. So I started searching for trips. And I searched, and then I saw Groupon had a sale and Living Social and Expedia, but then Orbitz had the best sale. They had a trip to Cozumel, New Mexico. I live in Newark, leaving out of Newark for 4 days and 3 nights in this resort hotel, all inclusive. So drinks, food, accommodation, even water sports is all included for $600 and something dollars. And then I use this app that I have on my computer called Honey that pulls up all of the coupon codes that the site you're on has. And so I use Honey to find a $75 off coupon, and I saved $75, and the trip was $562 for 4 nights, for 3 nights, 4 days, including flight, accommodation, food, drinks, water sports, everything for $500 something and change. Wow. And also because I was able to say I have the money in my travel account. So my budget said, yes, Tiffany, you can go to Mexico. So I'm trying to get my budget to say, yes, Tiffany, you can go to Paris in July. So that's my next thing I'm trying to get my budget to say. So you see what I mean?
I know, that's right.
You can get your budget to say whatever you want if you're willing to put in the work.
That's incredible. I want to be like you when I grow up, Tiffany. That's awesome. That is so exciting. So what do you say to your students or clients who they have the resources, they know what they have to do, but they really struggle with that discipline? Yeah. What do you say to them? And are there any resources for those who really do struggle when they get the money? It's like, oh, I can't save it. I really want to spend it.
Definitely. I say automation is the new discipline. So what that means is that once you figure out how much you want to save, so it does take a little bit of discipline, not as much as it used to, but once you figure out what you want to save, so you might tell yourself, okay, I want to save $50 a check. So what it will take for you is to go to your HR department and say, hey, HR person, can you send $50 of my paycheck to this savings account instead of my regular direct deposit account where my money lands? So that's the discipline it takes for you to have that conversation. Or if you don't have an HR department or whatever, and you just want to do it yourself, then you can then tell your personal bank online to send $50 twice a month, every day after each pay period. So if you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, on the 2nd and the 16th, instruct your bank to send $50 twice a month to your savings account. And it's not just any kind of savings account. You want to send it to what I call a money bucket. So a money bucket is a special online-only savings account. And what a money bucket does and an online-only savings account does is that whenever you put money in an online-only savings account, there's no physical place to go get your money. So if you want your money, you have to transfer it back to your regular checking account, and that's 2 to 5 business days. So you're physically incapable of impulse buying with money that you don't have access to. And so that's where I keep my travel money, because if not, I would use my travel money to do other stuff. So instead, I lock it away in my online-only savings account. And then when I want to travel, I still have to wait 2 to 5 business days to get my money back. And so it forces me to save because it's very inconvenient. So making your money inconvenient is a great way for people without discipline to save.
That is awesome. And I can attest to that after your Live Richer challenge. I want to say that's one of the challenges for one of the days. And I did that. And Tiffany, it has worked wonders. I have not seen this. I have a little chunk of money that I haven't seen in a while, and it's in this account. I don't have a card for it, and no one wants to go through the hassle of waiting 3 to 5 business days to transfer, because by the time you do, it's like, I don't really need the money anyway, right? I love it. That is so awesome. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, great. So we went over what people who struggle with the financial decisions, what they can do, and you said that's automation. Are there any other tips out there you can think of?
So discipline, you have to have some discipline, not as much as you think. So, for example, another way for automation is bills. So I believe another way is to really separate your money. That's going to help you. If all of your money is in one place, it's very easy to overspend. But let's just say you get paid $500. That's your paycheck for this week. You get paid $500, and $250 of it probably goes to bills. If you keep it all together, it's going to be easy for you to overspend. Why not instead separate $250 and put it in a separate checking account called your bills account? You just open up a separate checking account, and it's just for bills. And then you send your money that you want to save to your money bucket. So if your bill money is set aside and your savings money is set aside, the only money left is your spending money. And so that way it's like, okay, when I'm swiping my debit card, I know one thing, I'm not swiping away my savings and I'm not swiping away my bill money. So it's just a great way that if you separate your money and only leave yourself with what you're allowed to spend, And that's a great way that you don't have to have as much discipline.
Very nice. That's a great idea. And what about credit cards, Tiffany? How do you feel about credit cards? What do you think we should use them for? And what is a decent interest rate if someone absolutely has to have a credit card?
So, I mean, I'm not opposed to credit cards if you're going to be responsible with them. A lot of people get into trouble. So if you know that you're not that quite good with credit cards, then you want to, if you're going to get a credit card, try to get a low balance, maybe like $300, $500, something that, you know, it's not a $20,000, $30,000 limited credit card, because you know that you might use all of that up and then you'll have to pay that back. So that's one. Credit cards are a great way and a quick way, honestly, to build your credit. Here's how. If you use your credit card and you use it responsibly and you pay it off, they will report to the credit bureaus. And so what I like to do is I like to use one credit card in particular to pay down every single month. So I have one credit card that I have my Netflix account on. It's $8. So every month my Netflix charges that credit card, and every month my bills account, my checking account at my bank, pays the credit card. So every month I pay off a credit card in full. And my credit score jumps, because your credit score doesn't care if it's $8 or $8,000. You paid off a debt in full. That's what it looks like. Wow, she paid off a debt completely. So it makes your credit score jump. And so that's a great way to use a credit card. So that credit card that I use for that, I don't even take it anywhere with me. It's just at home. The only job of that credit card is to make my score jump. And it just gets charged by Netflix and paid off on by my bills account, $8 a month. And I raised my credit score, honestly, 150 points in like a year and a half as a result.
Wow. That's brilliant. I love that. Okay. I'm definitely going to have to replay this video and take more notes. This is awesome. I'm loving it. Now, Tiffany, how do you feel about lending money to family members? I know I'm in a situation where I help my family out financially sometimes. How do you feel about lending money to people, and what is your rule of thumb when it comes to lending money?
Well, I tend to say no. I mean, I won't say that I have not. It's usually not a good idea to lend money, because if they don't pay back, then there's like this tension between you. It's best to give or don't give, quite honestly. So there are some rare instances. So I might lend money to, like, my sisters. I mean, they grew up the same like these, so they're really financially responsible, and they never ask. So in one of my sisters, Carol, she's never asked. One of my sisters, Karen, she's never asked. My sister Tracy, she's 32, asked me one time. And so something like that, I made an exception, because I was like, you know what? You've never asked. So if my sister Karen said, can I borrow money? I probably would, because she literally never asked, because my father raised us that first things first is you need help, you ask yourself. Second, you ask yourself. Third, you ask yourself. So he really taught us to be really financially independent in that. So if my sister asks to borrow, then that means something's really wrong. So you have to know the person you're lending to. Now I have coworkers who ask me to borrow money all the time, and I'm like, no, because I already know. I've seen them borrow money from other people, and I know that this is a habit, that some people borrow money so often that literally they're borrowing the money that they just gave back to you. They borrow $20, and then they come back next week and give it to you $20, and then they come back next week and ask to borrow $20. So it's like a revolving door. I don't lend like this. A couple of my friends who I love dearly, and I let borrow money one time, and it took forever to pay it back. And then when they asked again, I said no. See, I don't have a problem saying no to lending money. I can give you some. If you're really in a tight spot, I can give you. You want to borrow 100? I have 20 I can give you. People might be mad. Either take it or leave it. You want to keep the 20, or you want to be mad about the 100 you're not going to get. And so you have to learn that, because if not, people, and I don't think people mean to, but people will continue to take from you unless you finally cut them off and say no. And so I have built up basically a reputation. And really, your people, if you know me, you know I'm not the one to ask to borrow money from. Everybody in their family knows there's always a family bank. That one person in the family, we can go to her, or we can go to him, and money. They know that's not me. And so you have to make sure that's not you either, or people will take from you and you'll never have enough for yourself. So it's okay to give, and it's okay to lend when you know those special people that you can lend to, that one cousin that never ever asks you. And you're like, wow, that must be really something important. And then you know those people who are literally borrowing money from you, and if they just cut off their cable or didn't get their hair done every weekend, they'd have the money. So I'm paying for you to get your hair done, for you to watch TV. That's not fair.
Not at all. That's a good rule of thumb. I think that'll definitely be useful. Now, what about emergency savings? How much would you say I'd say a 20-something should have in emergency savings?
It depends. So if you're living on your own and you have your own apartment, you want to have anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. So this is why. 3 months, let's say my mom was a nurse, and when her hospital closed down, nurses were in such demand that she literally got hired before the hospital even closed. All these hospitals wanted her. Every day there was like 10 different hospitals calling her. So for her, 3 months is enough time for emergency savings, right? Mm-hmm. But my sister's an engineer. It took her 2 years to get her first job because it's very difficult to secure an engineering job, especially if you're new and young. So she needs 2 years worth of savings. So it always depends on the industry you're in and how quickly you can replace your income should you lose it.
Wow, very nice. Okay. So Tiffany, we are actually closing up right now. Time has just flew by. I could ask you questions all day, and I'm so grateful to be able to have this conversation with you. I want to, in closing, just ask you what's next for the Budgetnista, and where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
So what's next for the Budgetnista is I will be launching the Live Richer Academy at livericheracademy.com. And like I said, that's a place where you can come, sign up, enroll, and take all of these next level financial classes from fun, engaging instructors like myself. And also, too, the Live Richer Challenge is something I'm going to be doing every single year. So this year was like really the first year for the Live Richer Challenge. And it went so well, we had those 15,000 women. So 2016 in January, we'll do another Live Richer Challenge, but it's going to be the savings edition. And it's going to be 22 days. It's going to be a full 3 weeks of me showing you how to save and increase your earnings for 22 days. And it'll also be free at livericherchallenge.com. And where I see myself in 5 years is that more and more, I'm going to be signing my first contract to be a spokesperson for a brand. So I'm really excited about that. And I'll be able to share the brand once I sign the contract. But I see myself doing spokesperson work. I also see myself traveling more, and really what I'd like to see, and this is what my aim is. I want, like, if you look at my little green bee in the corner of the screen, it should be like right above here, right? I'm like, right above here, right? My green bee that I want that one day you go into a Target or wherever, and you're deciding between, should I get this jewelry box or should I get this jewelry box or this blow dryer or this blow dryer? And you see my green bee on the tag of this blow dryer, and you know that I've certified that brand. That I'm saying that the money that they're asking for this blow dryer is more than worth it. This blow dryer is worth double or worth $20 more that they're actually asking for. And then you say, you know what? I trust the Budgetnista. All the brands she suggested thus far are definitely worth the money and more. So this is the blow dryer I'm going to go for. So ideally, that's what I want. I want you to be able to go into the store, see my Budgetnista be on certain items, and say, wow, I know this is the item I should go get because Tiffany the Budgetnista has certified it herself.
That is phenomenal, and I wish you the best. And that's amazing. That's so exciting. So Tiffany, where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me at the Budgetnista everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm the Budgetnista everywhere. So the Budgetnista. And if you really need help and you need to get started, I also have a best-selling book. Actually, I have 2 best-selling books. One is The 1 Week Budget. You're going to learn to manage and automate your money management system in 7 days. The 1 Week Budget is also a #1 Amazon bestseller. And I also have the Live Richer Challenge, which is 36 days to mastering money mindset, budget, savings, credit, debt, insurance, and investing. And you can find those both on Amazon. And yes, you can always find me if you need help, if you need to ask questions, if you're just looking for anything that I'm doing, you can find me at thebudgetnista.com.
Thank you, Tiffany. And my last question for you is, what is one action step that our viewers can take if they want to become more financially fit? What's one action step they can take today?
Today, you can go to this website called Magnify Money, and you can look for a Money Bucket, which is an online-only bank that's going to charge you no monthly fees for a savings account, and you don't have to have a minimum amount, and you're going to open up an online-only savings account at an online-only bank. And this is where you're going to start putting money for one specific thing, whether it's travel, whether it's a car, a house, or whatever. And you're going to start making your money inconvenient by putting some of your money in this online-only bank. And it literally you can take like 7 minutes to open up an online-only account. But Magnify Money is going to show you a bunch of different banks that you can choose from and choose the one that's best for you. But you're looking for a bank that's basically free and gives the most interest. You could do that tonight, 7 to 10 minutes, and be open and have your online-only bank account, and then have money start going there once a month, once a week, or whatever, and start saving for your trip to Paris.
Oh, Tiffany, thank you so much for spending the last 45 minutes with me, sharing your insight and your knowledge. I had a blast, and I'll definitely keep in touch. Thank you so much for being on Mocha Girls Pit Stop TV.
Thank you, Terry. I had a great time.
And there you have it, my interview with Tiffany the Budgetnista Aliche. Isn't she a rock star? Tiffany is so on point. I really wish that I would have known some of that information years ago, because I would be in a better place today. But as they say, it's better late than never. So I hope that you found this interview useful. I hope that you found some insight here. All of Tiffany's information can be found below, so feel free to click on the links and sign up for the Live Richer Challenge, the Live Richer Academy, and all that good stuff. In addition, if you are interested in joining a community of positive women who support each other and who are living dynamically in the face of adversity, we want you at Mocha Girls Pit Stop. So subscribe to the Mocha Girls Pit Stop blog today, which is where women of color refuel on motivation and ignite their lives. Sign up today and you'll get free resources. We are offering a blogger's toolkit for beginners and also a goal mapping workbook, so sign up below. Also, as a quick side note, if you are interested in starting a business or starting a YouTube channel or just doing anything out of your comfort zone that's new, starting a new journey, go for it. And I say that because I know that my video was not the best quality today. My Google Hangout kind of went in and out, but this is the beginning for me. I'm just starting out and my technology is just awful. I think the computers hate me. I have really bad internet service, so many excuses, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let that stop me. And I let that stop me in the past. But at this point, I'm going to start with what I have, and I will adjust and perfect my craft as I travel along this journey. So I encourage you to do the same. Start today with whatever that passion, that vision is for your life. And I hope to see you in the Mocha Girls Pit Stop comments and on our community. Have a great day.